Hi guys, Ollie here and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we've got a slightly different video for you today. Me and the ball and chain are going away from the weekend, so that means you will not be seeing me on a race course, unfortunately, this weekend. So we're going to try something a little bit different, as I still did want to bring you a video. Basically, I'm going to give you a basic understanding of a race card on the racing post and how we can use that race card to basically try and find some winners. It's going to be a very basic understanding, but hopefully it helps you guys out. And as always, let me know what you think in the comments and like and subscribe. In this video then guys, I'm going to look at handicaps. So basically handicaps cover about 80%, probably 90% of UK racing. So they're the most popular out there, and like I said, we'll try to give you a basic understanding of exactly what you're looking at on the screen now and how you can use that to your advantage to try find some winners. So as everyone knows, it's the Eclipse this weekend, the big £1 million race. And I'm going to look at a race on that card. Obviously, the Eclipse itself is a stakes race, so that's not a handicap. A handicap basically is where the handicapper uses a grade and a horse gets a weight to match that grade. And if the handicapper's done his job correctly, every horse should finish in a line when they go past obviously the finish, as weight slows down horses. So this particular race we're going to look at, it's a 6-runner, 7 furlong, class 3 for 3-year-olds over 0 to horses rated 0 to 90. And if we scroll down, you can see exactly the horses in this card. So the numbers at the bottom here basically are just your general form. So in its last start, a 0 means it finished outside of the top 10, 7th, 5th, 4th. The dash means it's had a break, so time off the track, and then last season it finished first in its only race of the season. So Richie's Rocket is the #1 horse. The #1 always correlates to the top weighted horse as well, so he carries the most weight in the race. This number in the brackets here highlighted is his draw, so he's drawn in 4. The CH is basically just the colour of the horse, and the G is the gelding, so he's a chestnut gelding, so chestnut coloured gelding. Obviously he's had his balls chopped off. The D here, that basically means he's won over this distance before, so he's won over 7 furlongs. OR is his overall rating, official rating I should say even, of 91, so that's what the British handicapper, BHA handicapper, has given him a rating of. TS, they're an independent rating service that Racing Post put on here, and they give the horse a rating of 84, and then RPR is Racing Post's rating of 98. The 16, basically how long the horses had up between runs. So this horse will have been seen 16 days ago. 3-year-old, obviously horse is 3 years old. 9 stone, 10 pounds is what the horse is carrying. And then you've got the jockey, Ross Orion, and obviously the trainer here, Rafe Beckett. The little percentage next to the trainer is basically how the trainer's horses are running to form. So easiest way to explain it is if you've got a horse rated 91 and if that horse runs to a level of 91, then that horse is being classed as running to form. So 61% of the time in the last 2 weeks, Rafe Beckett's horses have been doing so. You may also see some little numbers. So if we go down to the second horse here, he's Willeen, you'll see the jockey Billy Loughnane, he's got a little #1 next to his name. Basically that means it's his first ride on this horse, so he's never rode this horse before in a race situation. Anyway, you may also see some other numbers next to jockeys. So you see Jungle Ruler here, Connor Whiteley rides, and he's got a brackets 5. That basically means he's an apprentice rider, so he's allowed to claim a certain amount of weight. You get different weighted claimers depending on their experience. So the least experienced in flat racing is a £7 claimer. They claim £7 off, and then you get a £5 claimer, and then once they've got more experience, that drops down to a £3 claimer. So Connor Whiteley claims £5 off this horse. He'll run £5 lighter than it does say on here. He'll run off 8 stone 13. And then the other little things to look out for is the little letters next to where you've got the days off the track. So TP for this horse here, Sunny Smile. Basically this is the headgear the horse will be wearing. So he's got the tongue tie on, that's what the T stands for, and the P stands for cheek pieces, so the horse will be running in cheek pieces as well. The $1 million question then guys is, how do we use all this information to try and find the winner of said race? So basically, in a handicap, the winner of a handicap is the horse that runs the most above its official rating. So if a horse is rated, say, 90 per se, you're probably going to want a horse that's going to run to a level of around 94, 95, 4 or 5 pounds above what they're rated to win that race. And that's what it's all about finding. So there's many variables in terms of how a horse will run on a particular day. The first one being the ground, so the going. So as you can see here, the going is officially described as good. I'm recording this on Thursday night. It's only going to get drier until Saturday when this race does happen. And I imagine it being good to firm ground. Well, it will be good to firm ground. So you're going to want a horse that goes on quick ground. Sandown, as the old saying goes, you want a horse that can run on the course. The old horses for courses. And Sandown, it's a right-handed, fairly galloping track with a stiff finish. So a stiff finish basically means it's an uphill finish as they come towards the line. So you want something that's, like you say, gone well either at Sandown or maybe on a similar track to Sandown. So a Beverley, a Leicester, something like that with a stiff finish, right-handed, that sort of thing. And also the last thing as well, of course, is the distance. Has the horse gone well over that distance before? So, like I say, we're looking for a horse that's gone well over 7 or maybe potentially 8. You can sort of intertwine those two pieces of distance form anyway. So, Rich's Rocket, he's rated 91. Then we basically want to find out what we think he's going to run to in this particular race. And how we find that is we're going to use Racing Post ratings. So there's many independent rating companies out there that will grade horses' runs. So Racing Post do it, like I say, Timeform do it. You can pay for all sorts of different ones. Timeform are, like I say, regarded as one of the best in the industry. I don't think Racing Post are that bad. We're going to use Racing Post today because the 3, everybody can use them. And yeah, we've got them to hand. It's nice and easy to do, and we've got them here. So, like I said, Rich's Rocket, his last run came at Ascot, which is not too dissimilar course to Sandown. It is a stiff finish. He ran over the 8 furlongs that day on good to firm ground. That's what the GF stands for. The 2 in this little bit here basically means it was a class 2 race, and a 3Y, it's a 3-year-old race. HC means handicap. The 67k, ignore that part, that's just what the prize money was last time out, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference when trying to rate a horse anyway. So Racing Post gave this horse a rating of 86 last time out. It's a piece of form we can use because Ascot's a similar course on the same ground as what it's going to be. So yeah, very similar conditions. So he ran to like I say, Racing Post thing 87. Time before that, over the 7 furlongs, he ran at Goodwood to 87, and at Newmarket again. That's a fairly stiff finish coming out with a dip up there, and he ran to a grade of 80. So we'll use the last 3. He might be wanting to get carried away with this 94 he's run at Lingfield and his victory before that again at Lingfield. But Lingfield is the synthetic surface, all-weather track, and it's a very sharp track is Lingfield. As soon as you come around that bend, there's not a great deal to go until you hit the finish line. So it can be quite a specialist track, I find, and not necessarily form that's going to translate to Sandown. Very, very different course. So like I said, different track, different going, completely different. So I'd be more tempted to look at this form. So I think he's going to run probably around 86, 87. So we come into, you want to have a separate document. We're going to put, like I say, his predicted rating, I think, will be 87, and that's going to give him a rating difference of -4. So I think he's going to run £4 worse than what his current mark is. So probably not a horse you're going to want to look to back. So maybe one we'd write off there. Going to do the exact same thing for He's William, horse number 2. His last run was at Kempton. Again, the synthetic service, all weather, doesn't necessarily translate to the grass. Did run over at York on his last run last season in a class 2 company. On good ground. He's ran at Kempton again as a 2-year-old. Has got Sandown form, but this again as a 2-year-old in Group 3 company, so they clearly thought highly of him, and he ran to a mark of 87 there. Good to firm ground at Beverley again. Beverley's not too dissimilar to Sandown. It's a fairly galloping track, and like I say, it's an uphill finish, so very similarities are there. Ran to 89 there, 87, 91 at Kempton, so maybe disregard that. But like I say, he's going to have to improve a fair bit from his last start out, which was his first start of the season. Like I say, his first start ever, he ran to a mark of 89. His first start this season, he's ran to a Racing Post rating of 80. So he's going to need to take a big step forward to get anywhere near that official rating of 89. So I'd give him, if we're being generous, probably around 86, 87 on there. So let's go predicted rating. Obviously, overall, we need to put that in 89. Predicted rating, got 87, so he's going to run -2, so £2 worse than what the handicapper currently has him. So again, probably a horse we're going to look to avoid backing in this race. Horse number 3 then, Spirit of Saxony for Eve Johnson Horton. Last run came at Sandown on good ground and over the same class as well, so class 3 again. Came second in this race off a mark of 83 and ran to a Racing Post rating of 88, so they think he went £5 better off than his last run. If we said he's going to run to that same mark again 88. He's gone up £2 in the handicap from that run. So he's going to run maybe to a +3 in the handicapper. I don't think there's any reason he's going to regress from that run. He may go forward, which is something interesting. You'd have to look more into footage and maybe the pedigree of the horse to think he will see if he will step up. That's how that race was run as well, what sort of pace. But we haven't got time to do that today. So we're just going to base that. He's going to run off a mark of 88, and that's going to give him a +3 difference in the handicapper, and that's going to catch the eye. Like you say, you want a horse that's above the handicapper, not below it. Jungle Ruler then, interesting one, this one. Like I say, Conor Rightly rides this, so he claims £5 off, so in the weights, technically he's running off a mark of 80. He's not running off a mark of 85, and I don't really make any adjustments, especially in these decent races for apprentice riders, just because they claim for a reason. Obviously, the novice apprentice riders are less experienced, so like I say, they get the weight allowance for a reason. And you see this horse, one thing that's taken me straight off the back is he's never been tested on either good or quicker ground. He's only ever won on the ran on the all-weather or good to soft. So it does tend to say to me that connections are probably avoiding quick ground, probably for a reason. So I don't think he's going to improve on this 85, 86. I think if we're being generous again, he'll probably match it. So let's say if he runs off 86, he's rated 85, so we'll put 85 in there. Gonna go predicted 86. Ooh, not 986, that would be bloody good, wouldn't it? So it's going to give him +1 in the handicap there. So again, Spirit of Saxony, we're probably going to have him above that horse. Horse number 5 then, King's Cavalry for the two Jameses, James Doyle and James Tate. So quite a lightly raced horse, this one, but he could be progressive. All of his runs have come over 7 furlongs. He's had 3 starts this season, 2 at Leicester, which, like I said, as I've mentioned, is a stiff finish at Leicester, is a straight 7 at Leicester, whereas Sandown don't come round a bend, but like I said, I wouldn't have thought that would make too much difference. And his first run in handicap company, he won off a mark of 82, so only £3 up for that. And the Racing Post give him quite an impressive mark of 91. So even if we said he'd replicate that 91 Racing Post rating, that would put him £6 above what the handicapper has him, and you could quite easily make a case for him maybe going past this based on his lightly raced career and the fact, you know, he's going to go on a stiff track as well, up a stiff 7 furlongs. If I remember rightly as well, he's a horse that likes to sit on the front, so he could go well, especially in a small runner race. I'd imagine he will get to dictate the terms of this the pace of the race, especially from draw 2. Like I say, I'm not going to go too far into that, but it'd be something I would be looking at before placing a bet on this horse. But like I said, no reason I can't see him running any worse than a mark of 91. So but let's give him a mark of 91. We've opened to improvement, and that's going to give him a +6 on the handicapper, so potentially run £6 better than what the handicapper currently has him. Sunny Smile then, the last rated last horse in this race, even we need to rate. He's had 2 starts this year on good to soft and soft, all good. He's never raced on quicker than good, and these are really telling. 57 and 58 clearly shows he's not hitting the heights of last season. Even if he was hitting the heights of last season, he's not going to run better than his mark. So in all honesty, this would be a horse I'd just remove completely from there. He's, like I say, not one that I think is going to be competitive. He's probably just running to make up the numbers, as they say. Using these ratings then, guys, like I say, what we've got on our little spreadsheet, paint document, whatever you want to call it, we can see that King's Cavalry, in my opinion, he's got the potential to run above, or Racing Post opinions I should say, he's got the most potential to run the most above his current handicap rating. So that's going to give him the best chance of winning, and would be my pick if we're going through it. Like I said, there's no prices out yet on Thursday, but I'd suggest he'd probably be fairly short, especially coming to the conclusion here that he could be a fair bit above the handicapper, a bit more than what these others are as well, with it being a small field. And I'd probably open up at about 6-4 in the market. I have gone away and done a little bit more digging into the form of this, and it's something you should know. So just to give you a bit of an insight on handicapping these horses as well, Richie's Rocket and King's Cavalry, you see their first run both lost to Yazin. which was in October at Newmarket. If you click onto this race, you can see a little bit more in depth. So Richie's Rocket finished third, so actually above of King's Cavalry on this particular race, but he was 4.25 lengths behind the winner, and King's Cavalry was 5.25 lengths behind the winner. They were both running off the same weights that day, so both running off 9 stone 2. Like I said, it was only a length in it, and that is important because basically when you're weighting a horse, if you put £2 on a horse in flat racing over middle distance, so say 7 furlongs a mile, £2 will basically stop the horse by around the length. So with there being a swing in the rates on this particular day, like I say, Richie's Rocket 9 stone 10, King's Cavalry 9 stone 4, £6 difference. That equates to about three lengths difference. So like I say, 1 length behind Richie's Rocket here, you'd maybe expect him to go, like I say, 2 lengths ahead of Richie's Rocket with that swing in the rates, which is something to note. And like I say, if you can pick up these sort of patterns when you're looking through, it's always good to keep an eye out for. Like I say, not too dissimilar track over Newmarket as well. They were both 2-year-olds, but they were both debuting, so it gives you a good idea of the level they were running at as well. So not too much of an advantage on either one there. So yeah, something else I would take note of, and if you can find it, definitely make use of it. That wraps up today's video then, guys. Like I say, a little bit different, but I wanted to still bring you a video this week. And like I say, it's very, very brief. We're not going into form study that too much there. Like I say, it's just using the Racing Post ratings to try and find a winner. You see, when I'm doing my own research, I like to go into pace, angles, like I say, a lot more in depth onto the form and how they may run, etc. But like I say, I just wanted to give you an idea on how I am picking winners really briefly. And hopefully, if it helps you guys, try and find some winners, then it's a bonus. King's Cavalry, we'll see what he opens up in the market. Like I say, no prices are out yet, but if he's 6-4, 2-1, I'd certainly be having a look at him. I think he could be way ahead of these. I don't think there's anything too special in that race, and I don't think there's anything as well handicapped as him. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. Let me know what you think to this style of video in the comments as well. If there's any other angles you'd like me to look at as well, do let me know. As always, again, I'll leave a completely free link to my WhatsApp group down below. I'll give you updates on what horses I am backing when I go to the races, and horses I have shares in as well. So if you'd like to join that, like I say, completely free link down below. I'll catch you guys next time.